What's up guys, Card Protagonist here, and today we'll be doing a deck profile on the Flashbang Liberator Garmore Excel deck. So the reason why I'm doing this deck profile is because a few weeks ago I was in Tokyo, so I went card hunting in Akihabara with my friends, and I actually managed to find 4 copies of the SP Garmore Excel cards. So I was really excited for this deck profile, and previously my friend Fee, a few years back, actually went to Akihabara, the same place, and got me 2 copies of the SP Garmore Liberator. So I actually went to max rare my Garmores, so deck looks really good and it's actually not really expensive. So honestly I could say this is kind of like a budget deck profile because the core of Liberators is actually really cheap with GB13, most of the stuff being rare and commons. And Garmore Excel is only 15 yen in Japan. I actually found previously, before I bought the SPs, I actually got one playset of the triple rares at 15 yen each. So that's about, if you guys stay in Singapore, it's about 20 cents. So it's about like 50 cents per piece. So you can imagine how cheap Garmore is. And honestly, I feel he's kind of underrated, and he's, well, even though he may not be the meta deck right now, I find him still really fun to play as long as you can build him well. So you guys may ask, what are the pros and cons when comparing to Gurgit, the main Go Paladin clan right now? First off, Garmore is actually much cheaper in price tag, whereas Gurgit could go up to $10 per piece. Garmore is only less than a few dollars. And also Garmore has the early game rush, which is Liberator's engine. This card helps you to rush against many decks, so Great Stack is also not a problem against many other decks. The cons of the deck is Garmore is more of a burst core, so whenever you perform strike only on a Garmore or Liberator unit, you will be able to counter blast 1 the strike break skill to superior core 2 units, whereas for Gurgit's case, you could just superior core whenever you perform strike, whatever you strike into. So that is one of the cons of Garmore right now, but otherwise the deck is still, it runs really well. He has a lot of good Liberator engine. Liberator's actually got a very good boost in Ultimate Strike set. So without further ado, let's get started with deck profile. First up, we play 4 copies of Garmore Excel. Garmore Excel strike break skill can only be activated if you strike into a Liberator strike or a Garmore strike. However, its strike break skill is really powerful. Count blast 1 and look at the top 3 cards of the deck and superior core 2 Liberator units onto the field. So it's really good for burst summoning, especially during a first strike, because usually these are my first strike targets and you can fill up the field instantly with 2 counter blasts, which is really amazing. So it gives you the rush early game. And I also really like this GB1 skill. At the end of the turn, when you unstrike, you can select 2 of your Liberators on your field and put them at the bottom of the deck to draw 1 card. This is really good because you do play stuff that actually does get a little bit dead. For example, Stiletto Hawk actually, after boosting at the back, is actually quite useless, so I usually send Stiletto Hawk, if it's used as booster, back to the deck in order to draw some free cards of the hand, hopefully drawing the perfect card which helps you survive. Alright, so 4 copies of Garmore, it's a really good card, I guess. Burst Summoning and Liberator generally has very good rush. And next we play 2 copies of the Limit Break Garmore, pretty much as a backup right target. If you're playing against Great Stack, you can use its Limit Break 4 skill to flood field. I honestly don't think it's that worth it because it is special Common Blast 3, which is kind of crazy. But its second ability, which is to return units to gain plus 4k power, it's fine, I guess. It's just mostly used having the Garmore in the name, especially when striking into Garmore. So yep, 2 copies of Garmore, and finally 1 copy of Militant Egg Dragon. Militant Egg Dragon is a very good counter to Link Joker. If you guys have a lot of Link Jokers in the meta, especially right now with Chaos running around, you might want to bump me up to 2 or 3 because he is actually a great right target. Whenever you perform strike, you can unlock units, which is great. For grade 2s, we play 4 copies of Argovel. Argovel is really good, one of the best Liberator cards, or maybe even Go Paladins, because of the early game rush. Argovel, count blast 1 and look at top 3 cards of the deck and superior core 1 Liberator, so it is very important to max out as many Liberators as you have in this deck so that you won't miss your calls. The only non-Liberator that is non-trigger, I believe, is the Strike Fodder, which is fine. So yeah, it gives you early game rush, really good, especially against Gridlocks. So early game advantage push is very important. 4 copies of him. Alright, he's actually a really good card in this deck because Liberators do eat a lot of counter blasts, especially in the early game if you're trying to rush. Like stuff like Garmores, actually when you strike, you actually eat a lot of counter blasts. So his skill is whenever a card is caught from the deck and you have a Liberator Vanguard, he gets a 2k power and a skill. When this unit attack hits the Vanguard, you can counter charge 1. So this ability actually stacks. So if you call, if it's at the side, and you use stuff like Garmore skill to counter blast 1, Soul Blast 1 to call more units, he'll gain plus 2k and the ability. If you call even more units, call like this, I don't know, somehow like maybe this strike, you can call more units. You can stack the effect. So let's say you call 4 units. If his attack hits, he gains plus 8k, and if the attack hits, you can countercharge 4, which is really good because Spirit Call is very common in this deck, especially for the first strike where you're gonna consume a lot of counter blast. So 4 copies. Be a staple. I find countercharging a bit problematic for Liberators right now. And 4 copy of Stiletto Hawk. You could play the banana looking dog. I'll add an image somewhere here. You could play the banana dog, but honestly I do not play him because most of the time when I strike into my Liberator units and actually call stuff, my field is pretty much flooded because Garmore is so good at flooding the field. Honestly, I don't think the extra superior will help, whereas the consistency is very important in this deck. Its ability is when this card's called to the rearguard circle from your hand or from top deck, wherever it's called, you can get it to minus 2k power. If you do, it gets the booster skill. It is good because sometimes you look at top 3 and you may never know what you get, especially with Garmore, your random RNG, and you might need the booster. So it's a very flexible card, booster or an attacker. So I play 4. And even as a booster, you can use Garmore's skill to put it back to the deck so it doesn't feel so useless. So Garmore do have a lot of good utility skills. Alright, that's 4D grade 2s. Grade 1s, I play 4 copy of this horse thing. It is a high beast. One thing to note is I do play mostly high beast. The only non-high beast is the Agrovel and this card because they are just too important. His ability is a once per turn GB1. Whenever another unit is placed onto the rearguard circle and you have a Liberator Vanguard, he gains 7,000 power. That is very, very powerful. He is meant for Garmore to work. Let me show you an example. So first up, you call him to the back and maybe you just call a random 9k. He instantly gains 7k. Think about it. 9 plus 7 plus 7 is 23. If you add it into Garmore's skill, Garmore checks 2 units and he gains plus 4k. That is total of 31k power. 31k power means your opponent will have to guard for 25k guard for a single column, and especially with him around, if you were to superior call stuff, he gets the counter charge skill which helps you plus. So really good for pushing for game. So 4 copies of this unicorn. Unfortunately it's only once per turn, but it is kind of a more consistent deck card. Okay, I'm gonna forget the name. Yeah, so it's just a more consistent one, and unfortunately it's a GB, otherwise it will be quite broken, honestly. So 4 copies. 4 copies of Improved Ego. So this is a very, very good perfect guard. Its ability is, while it's in the drop zone, you can remove another copy of itself and select 2 circles on your field and send them back to the bottom of the deck. Then you can superior call one of the top 3 cards to the rearguard circle. This basically helps you against lock. Goldplayer is actually very well known for dealing with lock, and this is one of those cards. You can even use it in Gurgit because lock is everywhere right now. 4 copies of Dogo. Yeah, this is really cute, and he has a very good ability. So from the hand, you can reveal it and send it to the bind zone. If you do, select 1 card on the field and unlock it, and that unit gains a 2k power. So instant counter to lock, really good. As I play 4 copies because Chaos Breaker's everywhere. And second ability, he's kind of like a strike fodder for free. So while this card's on the field, you can pay the cost of sending him to the bottom of your deck. If you have a Liberator Vanguard, you can E-Special Count Blast 1 to perform strike. Losing 1 unit is not that bad because Liberator generally just generate units for free. So I also play 2 copies of strike fodder, and if my field gets locked while my doggies are there, I guess I'll just die. So yeah, the strike fodder is still there because you can't really rely too much on these dogs. If you fight against Kagero and you do a strike forders, you're dead. Alright, so that's the grade 1s. Let's go on to triggers. Trigger lineup is something I want to talk about. I play 8 crits, 4 stands, and 4 heals. Initially, I was actually playing Liberator draw triggers, and I decided not to because I realized that having Liberator triggers is not important at all because most of the stuff you want to call with Liberators is only in non-trigger units. So stuff like Agrovel, you're not going to call a trigger unless you want to, maybe like this. You won't call the draw trigger ever, and you actually play Gurgit Helios in this deck, so it actually benefits with Lion, and having more crits is good, especially with a big push deck like Go Paladins. Yeah, so one tip for deck building, if you guys are building Liberators, the triggers, as long as they're high beasts, they don't really need to be Liberators unless you need to Count Blast. But the only E-Special Count Blast we have is with the Strike Fodder Dog, which is not very important. This guy is really good though. He allows you to loop a bit of combo with these guys. If you call him to the rearguard circle from the top of the deck, you can put it at the bottom of the deck and superior call top 3 one's Liberator other than itself. Then you can shuffle the deck, so basically it just gives another chance to stack its power and its counter charging skill. Shaggy Rabbit, you can bind 2 to counter charge or soul charge, which is pretty good because this deck eats a lot of Count Blast. So Shaggy Rabbit is a Liberator, fortunately. Thank you for making it a Liberator. and a high beast, which is perfect for this deck. And finally, we go through starter. GB1 Con plus 1. If you have a Liberator Vanguard, you can only use a skill. Select 2 of your other units and they gain skill. For this turn, each time a unit is superior card to your rearguard circle from the deck, you can gain plus 3k power, so it is really good. Alright, so let's go on to the strides. So strides, we play 1 copy of True Liberator Solemnlight, activate skill, Con plus 1, recall another 2 more, so it is really good for flooding field on the first strike. This is usually my first strike target, unless I happen to use G-Guard early in the game. I will use this instead because Garmore will be able to gain a crit. I'll explain more when his time comes. It's great for flooding the field early game. Fantastic card. Con plus 1 for 2 free units is just too good. So finally 2 of the MVP of the deck. Honestly, he isn't that great, but during the first strike, if you can strike him first, he is really good and he puts pressure on your opponents. So his ability is Con plus 1 and Soul plus 1, Superior Core 1 from the top 3 of the deck. So it is pretty decent. Another option to think about is, let's say you have 4 empty slots on the field. Most of the time strike him. If I have 3 empty slots, I'll strike him instead. Garmore's second skill is GB2. Send 1 card from the drop zone to the bottom of the deck. If you do, check the top 6 cards of the deck. For each review high beast among them. This deck is kind of like 90% of high beast, so it's most likely gonna be high beast all the time. So for each high beast review, select 1 of your rearguards and you gain plus 4k power. Please note that you cannot select all onto 1 rearguard. You must be 4 different rearguards, so they gain plus 4k power. And if you review 4 or more high beasts, he gains a plus 1 critical, so it's good in first strike because it forces your opponent to perfect guard, whereas they usually like to eat the first strike damage for some reason. So yeah, first turn strike pressure. I kind of like his skill, it's kind of fun, and he can send back triggers, which is something good. Alright, next we play 4 copies of Gurgit Helios. Gurgit Helios is not limited to Gurgit only, so you can play any Go Paladin deck. Really powerful card. Personal Flip, gain 1 extra drive check, and GB3. For each other rearguards you have, this guy gains us 5k power, and your opponent cannot call grade 1 and above to the Guardian Circle. They cannot cause perfect guards, and they can't guard with grade 1s and grade 2s from the hand. They can still intercept though. A really powerful finisher, high pressure, I really like it. So 4 copies of Gurgit Helios. Next up is 4 copies of Retreat Dragon. When this card attacks, Con plus 1 Personal Flip, look at top 7 cards of your deck, and for each face-up G unit you have, choose 1 of them and call it to the rearguard circle. And you can contract 1 and soul charge 1 if you call 3 or more units this way. So usually I like to attack with all my rearguards, then use the skill and just flood field again and swing again. 1 copy of GB8. GB8 is something I've considered because this deck actually eats a lot of combos and GB8 has no cost. When this unit attacks, you can select 4 of your rearguards and the rearguards gain the ability. At the end of the card, when he battles or boosts, you can look at the top 2 cards and superior call 1 unit, and that card unit gives us 5k power. So you basically have another extra attack for free, so it's good. G Guardians, you play 1 copy of Slay Me Flare, send back 1, then you can look at top 5, superior call 2 different grades, so like previously you could use perfect guards, but I don't have that perfect guard anymore, so you basically you can potentially go up to 30k shield easily if you call a trigger, and another grade 1 or 2. 2 copies of this standard one. Basically you have 2 or more units on the field, gains plus 5k shield, pretty generic. And I play 1 backup copy of these because most of these G units actually are very reliant on having rearguards on the field, and if you don't have any rearguard on the field, you're quite screwed. So at least for her, she can actually call 1 rearguard from the deck to the Guardian Circle, and it can help you get on free rearguard as well. Right, so one interesting thing I want to add on is, let's say I'm playing Ultima. Yes, I do have the proxy version of Ultima and test him out, and he's actually really good in this deck. So what would I take out? Most likely, after testing, I would take out 1 Flashbang Garmore because Flashbang Garmore is only usually used as first strike. And yeah, these are usually my first strikes, and after that I don't re-strike with him anymore, so most likely I'll be putting him in exchange for Flashbang. Alright, so what are some of the combos with this card? So is this card helpful for Go Paladins? Yes, it is, especially for Liberators, because Liberators get so much advantage from superior calling. So let's imagine this. So this is the winning image for Ultima. Alright, so let's say your current field looks like this. You strike to Ultima. Ultima's skill is basically when these cards win as a Vanguard, plus 2, and search for 4 cards in your deck. So usually these are the 4 cards I'll search. 2 for stand and crit. Yeah, this is really good in the deck because you happen to play stand, and Ultima really benefit a lot from stand triggers. And basically it's like these 2 and you call these 2. So like this effect, it gives us 2k power. Since 2 units is caught, it gives us 4k. This gives 7k, this gives 7k because it's caught together. So just like that, your field really is kind of ready and prepped for battle. And after that, you sack the top 2 triggers up top. And Ultima's second skill is any trigger check will be applied to all units on the field. So if I check a crit trigger, crit. So everything gains crit. So you can imagine the huge power boost. And then if you check stand, and everything that's rested just now will restand. So you can imagine how great the whole field will restand with one stand trigger. So this is the combo that I'll pull off. I'll do one for blasters, my next blaster video, I guess. So this wraps up my deck profile for my Garmore Excel deck. Appreciate if you guys leave a like on this video, and thanks for watching. Peace out and love you guys.